Listen to me. I don't know who this is for, but hear me loud and clear. What you lost is not the end of your story. What was stolen, what was broken, what was taken, God is about to restore it. The pain, the struggle, the sleepless nights, none of it was wasted, because when God restores, he doesn't just give back what was lost, he makes it greater, stronger, and better. So if you've been feeling empty, if you've been wondering, will I ever get back what I lost? Get ready, because restoration is coming. When God restores, he doesn't just give you back what you lost. He multiplies it. He makes it greater, stronger, and better than before. When he restores, he doesn't return things to their original condition. He upgrades them. You might have lost something precious, something valuable, something you never thought you'd live without. Maybe it was a relationship, an opportunity, your peace of mind, your confidence, or even your joy. And when it was taken from you, it felt like a piece of you was ripped away. But hear me, what left your life was not the final word. What was taken was not the end of the story. Because when God steps in to restore, he doesn't do it halfway. He does it in a way that leaves you standing in awe, wondering how you ever doubted that he was working all along. Oh, think about the people who have been through loss, through devastation, through a season where it felt like everything was collapsing around them. When restoration came, they didn't just go back to where they were before. It was as if they stepped into a whole new level of blessing. When you look at the stories of those who lost everything but held on to faith, they didn't just get back what they lost, they received double, triple beyond what they ever imagined. Because God doesn't just fix things, he transforms them. He doesn't just restore what was lost, he expands it beyond what was taken. You may have been crying over what's gone, but if you only knew what's coming, you would start praising instead of weeping. You would lift your hands instead of hanging your head. Because what's ahead is greater. What's ahead is stronger. What's ahead is better. That's how God restores. Look at your life. Look at what you've been through. The enemy thought it was over for you. The people who left thought you'd never rise again. The doors that closed seemed like they would never open again. But what they didn't realize is that God doesn't just bring things back to the way they were. He does exceedingly abundantly above all you could ever ask or think. He is not in the business of just returning things. He is in the business of elevating them. So if you have lost something, if you are standing in the middle of a storm, if you are looking at the pieces of what used to be and wondering if restoration is even possible, let me tell you, God is not done. He is still moving. He is still working. And when he restores, you won't even recognize the life you're about to walk into. The pain you went through will be a distant memory compared to the joy he is about to pour into your life. The things you thought were over will come back with a strength you never expected. And when that restoration comes, you will look back and say it was all worth it, because nothing that was lost will compare to what God is about to bring into your life. What you lost was never meant to be the end of your story. It may have felt like everything came crashing down, like the rug was pulled out from under you, like the very foundation you were standing on was shaken to its core. The pain of loss can be so heavy that it makes you believe you'll never recover. It makes you think that what was taken from you will never be replaced. It can leave you feeling like you are standing in the middle of ruins, looking at the pieces of what used to be and wondering if life will ever be whole again. But let me tell you something, your loss was not your final chapter. It was not the conclusion to your story. It was only a turning point, a transition, a moment that God is about to use to launch you into something greater. Sometimes the very thing we thought would break us is a thing God uses to make us. The loss that made you feel like you would never be the same again is the same loss that God will use to take you to a level you never thought possible. You might not see it yet. You might not understand why it had to happen. You might not have the answers to the questions that have been circling in your mind. But what you need to know is this: your loss was not the end. What you thought was gone forever is not beyond God's ability to restore. You may have lost opportunities. You may have lost relationships. You may have lost time. You may have lost faith. And in those moments of loss, the voice of doubt will whisper, "It's over. You'll never get it back. You'll never be the same." But that is a lie. It is not over. What you lost is not greater than what God is about to do. What was taken is nothing compared to what He is about to release into your life. Think about how seasons change. There are times when trees look barren, lifeless, stripped of their beauty, their color, their fruit. But just because they look dead in the winter doesn't mean they won't bloom again. Just because the branches are empty now doesn't mean they won't be full again. Just because everything looks dry and lifeless doesn't mean new life isn't on the way. And just like the seasons shift, your situation is shifting. Just like the trees that look like they've lost everything in winter come back stronger in spring, you will come back stronger. What felt like a dead end was actually a setup for a comeback. What felt like destruction was actually preparation for elevation. The loss wasn't the end, it was a door to something greater. What you didn't realize is that God saw what you lost before you lost it, and He already had restoration in motion. He already had something prepared. He already had a plan to bring you into something better than what you thought was gone forever. You don't have to stay stuck in regret. You don't have to keep looking back, wishing things could be the way they used to be. You don't have to hold on to the weight of what's behind you, because what's ahead is greater. Your best days are not behind you. They are still in front of you. Your story doesn't end in loss. It ends in restoration. It ends in victory. It ends in greater joy, greater peace, greater purpose than you've ever known. So don't let what you lost make you think you are finished. Don't let what was taken make you believe you have nothing left. Stand firm, lift your head, walk forward, because what was lost was never meant to define you. What's coming next will. And when restoration comes, when the new doors open, when the blessings start to overflow, you will look back at the loss and realize it wasn't the end at all. It was just the beginning of something greater than you ever imagined. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just because you don't see it now doesn't mean restoration isn't already in motion. One of the greatest battles people face is not in what they lost, but in the waiting. The waiting for things to change. The waiting for the breakthrough. The waiting for the moment when everything turns around. It's in that waiting season where doubt creeps in, where questions start flooding the mind, where you start wondering, did I miss my chance? Did I mess up too badly? Did I lose something that will never come back? But hear this today, the delay is not a denial. The waiting is not a rejection. What looks like a delay to you is actually divine timing in action. There's a process to restoration. A farmer doesn't plant a seed and expect a harvest the next day. The seed has to go into the ground. It has to sit in the darkness. It has to be watered. It has to take root. And even when it starts to grow, you don't see the fruit immediately. It takes time. It takes patience. But the fact that you don't see the harvest today doesn't mean it's not coming. Some of you have been in a season where it feels like everything is buried, where it seems like nothing is moving, where it looks like restoration is taking too long. But what you don't realize is that underground things are shifting. Beneath the surface, something is growing. The process is happening even when you can't see it. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't happen in our timing. We live in a world where we expect instant results. We want answers now. We want doors to open immediately. We want to see the breakthrough as soon as we pray for it. But God works in His perfect time, not ours. What looks like a delay is actually preparation. What seems like a pause is actually a setup. And if you stop believing in the middle of the process, if you give up before the harvest, you could miss out on the very thing you've been waiting for. Look back at your life. Think about the times when you wanted something so badly, but it didn't happen when you thought it would. And now looking back, you can see why. You can see that if it had happened too soon, you wouldn't have been ready for it. You can see that if the door had opened earlier, you might not have walked through it the right way. You can see that the delay wasn't because you were forgotten. It was because something greater was being prepared for you. Sometimes what feels like a delay is actually protection. You don't see the full picture yet. You don't know what God is keeping you from. You don't know what He's orchestrating behind the scenes. You may be asking, why is it taking so long? But if you only knew what He was preparing, you wouldn't be worried about the wait. If you only knew how much bigger, how much better, how much more powerful His restoration is going to be, you wouldn't be discouraged in the process. The waiting season is not a wasted season. It's the season where faith is tested, where patience is strengthened, where endurance is built. It's the season where you learn to trust that even when you don't see it, God is still working. Even when it feels slow, God is still moving. Even when it looks like nothing is happening, the breakthrough is already in motion. So don't give up because it's taken longer than you expected. Don't lose hope because it hasn't happened yet. If it was promised, it's coming. If it was spoken, it will happen. If He said He would restore, then He will restore. Not on your schedule, not according to your timeline, but in the perfect moment when everything is aligned. When you are ready, when the time is right, and when that moment comes, you'll look back and realize the waiting wasn't a delay at all. It was divine preparation for something greater than you ever imagined. What was taken from you, what was stolen, what was ripped out of your hands, none of it is beyond restoration. Nothing that has been lost is too far gone for God to return, repair, and redeem. You may have been through seasons where you felt like everything was slipping away. You may have watched as opportunities passed, as relationships faded, as doors slammed shut. And you were left wondering, how did I end up here? Why did this happen to me? The weight of loss can be unbearable, especially when you didn't see it coming, especially when it wasn't your fault, especially when it feels like life strips you down to nothing. But listen, what was stolen will be returned, and it won't come back the same way it left. It's coming back greater. It's coming back multiplied. It's coming back stronger than before. There is a divine justice that operates beyond what the human eye can see. In the natural world, when something is stolen, it's often gone forever. When something is taken, you might never get it back. But in the hands of the Almighty, nothing is permanently lost. What was taken from you is already on its way back, but it's not coming alone. It's coming with interest. It's coming with restoration. It's coming with a double portion. The years you lost, the tears you cried, the betrayal you suffered, the brokenness you endured, it is not in vain. What the enemy meant for harm, what life tried to destroy, what people tried to steal from you, it is all being rewritten in your favor. Maybe you've been in a season where it felt like everything was stolen. Maybe you lost your peace of mind. Maybe you lost your confidence. Maybe you lost your sense of purpose. And with every loss, with every setback, with every disappointment, you felt like you were being stripped down to nothing. But hear me. What was stolen is not the end of your story. There is restoration coming. There is justice coming. There is a return coming. And when it comes, it will be so powerful, so overwhelming, so undeniable that you will look back and say, I never thought I'd make it through, but now I see why I had to go through it. Think about those moments when you felt robbed, when you felt like something was unfairly taken from you, when you watched as someone else got what you had been praying for, when you saw doors open for others while yours remained shut. It's easy in those moments to feel forgotten. It's easy to believe that life has passed you by, that your best days are behind you. But that is a lie. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. The things that were taken are not gone forever. What you don't see is that restoration is already in motion. What you don't know is that what was stolen is already making its way back to you, but in a way that is far beyond what you imagined. You have to stop looking at what you lost as if it was the final chapter. Stop believing the lie that what was taken can never be replaced. You serve a God who does not settle accounts the way the world does. When He restores completely. When He gives back, He gives more than was taken. You are stepping into a season where everything that was stolen is about to be returned, but not in the same measure it was taken. It's coming back, pressed down, shaken together, running over. So don't let what was stolen define you. Don't let the losses of the past make you bitter. Don't let disappointment make you think that restoration isn't possible. What was stolen will be returned. What was broken will be repaired. What was lost will be restored. And when it comes back, you will look at your life and realize that nothing was ever truly lost, because the hand of restoration was on you all along. Every tear you've cried, every moment of pain you've endured, every sleepless night, every disappointment, every unanswered question, it all has a purpose. Nothing you have gone through is wasted. Nothing you have suffered is meaningless. The pain you have carried, the hurt that has weighed you down, the losses that made you question everything, it was never for nothing. You may not see it yet. You may not understand why it had to happen the way it did. You may not have the answers, but hear me today. Your pain has a purpose. There are moments in life where pain feels unbearable, the kind of pain that shakes you to your core, that leaves you questioning everything, that makes you wonder if you will ever feel whole again. The kind of pain that keeps you up at night, that steals your joy, that drains your strength. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you are there right now. Maybe you're standing in the middle of a storm, wondering if you'll ever make it through. But what if I told you that this pain is not the end of your story? What if I told you that the very thing that was meant to break you is actually preparing you for something greater? There is no pain without purpose. There is no suffering without a plan. You are not walking through this season for nothing. Every tear, every battle, every heartbreak is working together for something beyond what you can see. Sometimes pain is the process that leads to promotion. Sometimes the struggle is what strengthens you for the next level. Sometimes the breaking is what prepares you for the blessing. You may have lost some things along the way. You may have felt like life knocked you down so hard that you would never get back up. But what if I told you that this season of pain is birthing something inside of you that could never have been produced in comfort? Look at the stories of those who have walked through the fire and come out stronger. They didn't break because of the pain. They were built by it. They didn't give up when it got hard. They pushed through, and in the process, they became who they were always meant to be. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is refined in fire. Strength is built in struggle. And in the same way, the pain you have been walking through is refining you, shaping you, preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Think about the moments in your life where pain pushed you to grow, where a loss made you realize what really mattered, where a disappointment led you to something better, where rejection turned into redirection. What felt like destruction at the time was actually divine construction. What looked like the end was actually the beginning of something new. But you wouldn't have seen it then, because in the moment, all you could feel was the pain. It's only when you look back that you realize every setback, every loss, every hardship was positioning you for something greater. Pain has a way of revealing things that comfort never could. It strips away the distractions. It shows you what really matters. It brings clarity. It brings wisdom. It brings strength. Pain teaches you things you never would have learned in an easy season. It prepares you for battles you don't even know are ahead. It equips you with resilience, with courage, with endurance. You don't grow in the easy times. You grow in the struggle. You don't find out who you really are when everything is going right. You find out who you are when everything is going wrong. So if you're in a season of pain, if you're walking through something that feels unbearable, if you're wondering why this had to happen, let me remind you, it's not for nothing. It's not meaningless. It's not wasted. You are being shaped. You are being strengthened. You are being prepared for something you can't even imagine yet. And one day you will look back and see that every tear, every sleepless night, every painful moment was leading you to a purpose greater than you ever dreamed. The process of restoration doesn't always look the way you expect it to. Sometimes when you think about restoration, you imagine that things will go back to the way they used to be. You think that what you lost will return exactly as it was, that the opportunity you missed will come back in the same form, that the relationship that ended will be restored in the same way. But restoration is not about going back to the past. Restoration is about moving forward into something greater. It is about stepping into something new, something better, something stronger than what was before. When something is restored in the hands of the world, it is simply repaired to its previous condition. But when something is restored by divine power, it is made better than it was before. What was broken is not just put back together, it is transformed. What was lost is not just returned, it is multiplied. What was taken is not just given back, it is given back with increase. Because divine restoration doesn't just bring things back to where they were, it takes them to a place they have never been before. You may be looking at your life right now and thinking that there are things that can never be restored. You may feel like you have lost too much, like too much time has passed, like too much damage has been done. You may believe that the broken pieces of your life cannot be put back together. But what if I told you that restoration is already happening? What if I told you that even though you can't see it, things are already shifting in your favor? Sometimes restoration happens in ways you never expected. You may be waiting for something to come back the way it left. But what if it comes back in a different form? What if the relationship that ended doesn't return, but a better one is given in its place? What if the opportunity that was lost doesn't come back, but a greater opportunity is prepared for you? What if the thing you thought you needed is actually being replaced with something you never even knew you wanted? The problem is that many people get so focused on the past that they miss what is coming in the future. They are so busy looking at what was lost that they don't see what is being given. They are so caught up in trying to get back what was taken that they don't realize something better is being prepared. If you only focus on what was, you will miss what is. If you only look at what was taken, you won't see what is being restored. Think about a building that has been destroyed. When a restoration project begins, the builders don't just try to put it back exactly as it was. They use stronger materials. They reinforce the foundation. They make improvements so that it is better than before. And that is exactly what is happening in your life. You are not just being put back together, you are being rebuilt stronger. You are not just recovering what was lost, you are receiving something greater. You are not just getting back what was taken, you are being prepared for a level of blessing you have never experienced before. You may be in the middle of the process right now. You may not see the full picture yet. You may be wondering why things still feel broken, why the pieces haven't come together yet, why restoration hasn't happened the way you imagined. But trust that just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because it doesn't look the way you expected doesn't mean it's not already in motion. The pieces are coming together. The foundation is being strengthened. The broken areas are being rebuilt. And when the restoration is complete, you will look back and realize that it was never about going back to the way things were. It was always about stepping into something greater. It was never about reclaiming what was lost. It was about receiving what was meant for you all along. And when that moment comes, when you see the full picture, when you step into the new season, you will understand that what you thought was the end was actually the beginning of something far greater than you ever imagined. When restoration happens, it is not just about recovering what was lost. It is about stepping into something greater, something stronger, something that could never have been possible without the journey you have been through. But the reality is, not everyone will recognize what is happening. Not everyone will understand the process of restoration in your life. Not everyone will celebrate the comeback, because some people benefited from your downfall. Some people were comfortable seeing you broken. Some people liked it when you were struggling, when you were weak, when you were down. Because when you were down, they felt up. When you were broken, they felt whole. When you were empty, they felt full. But what they don't realize is that restoration is already in motion. Some people counted you out too soon. They looked at your losses and assumed that was the end. They saw you broken and thought you would never rise again. They watched you struggle and believed that would be your story forever. But what they didn't know is that restoration was always part of the plan. They didn't know that what was lost was only making room for something greater. They didn't know that what was stolen was going to be returned with interest. They didn't know that what was broken was being rebuilt even stronger. And now when they see you rising again, when they see you stepping into the restoration that was always meant for you, they won't understand it. Not everyone will celebrate your restoration because not everyone was meant to be part of it. Some people were only meant to be part of the season where you were broken. Some people were only meant to be part of the chapter where you lost everything. Some people were only meant to be in your life for a time, and when that time ended, they left. And that's okay, because not everyone who was with you in the season of loss is supposed to be with you in the season of restoration. It's hard when the people you thought would support you don't. It's painful when the ones you thought would stand with you start to distance themselves. But sometimes restoration means separation. Sometimes the process of being restored means that certain people can't come with you into the next chapter. Because some people were only meant to be part of the struggle, not the success. Some people were only meant to be part of the breaking, not the building. Some people were never meant to see the full picture of what was being prepared for you. Think about the times you tried to hold on to people who were never meant to stay. The times you tried to drag people into a season they weren't supposed to be in. The times you tried to make someone understand your growth when they were still stuck in their own brokenness. And no matter how much you wanted them to see what was happening in your life, they couldn't. No matter how much you wanted them to celebrate with you, they didn't. And it hurt. It hurt to realize that not everyone was happy for you. It hurt to see that some people actually liked it when you were struggling. It hurt to know that some people only wanted you in their life as long as you stayed small, as long as you stayed broken, as long as you stayed beneath them. But here's the truth. Restoration reveals who was really for you and who was only there for the struggle. Restoration exposes who was genuinely in your life because they cared about you and who was only there because they benefited from your pain. Restoration separates the people who truly loved you from the people who only loved what you could do for them. And when restoration happens, when you start to rise again, when you start to step into the new season, the ones who were never really for you will start to distance themselves. The ones who were only there for the struggle won't be able to handle the success. The ones who benefited from your pain won't know what to do when you are no longer in that place. And that is why you cannot waste time trying to explain your restoration to people who were never meant to understand it. You cannot spend energy trying to convince people to celebrate what they were never supposed to be part of. You cannot delay your restoration by holding on to people who were only meant to be in your past. You have to be willing to let go. You have to be willing to move forward. You have to be willing to walk into your restoration, even if some people don't approve, even if some people don't understand, even if some people try to bring up who you used to be, what you used to do, where you used to be. Because the truth is, your restoration is not about them. It's not about their opinions. It's not about their approval. It's about what was always meant for you. So if people don't understand your restoration, let them go. If people can't celebrate your comeback, let them go. If people keep trying to remind you of what you lost instead of rejoicing in what you have gained, let them go, because your restoration is not tied to their validation. Your restoration is not dependent on their support. What is being restored in your life is not meant for everyone to see, because not everyone was meant to be part of it. And when you step into what has been prepared for you, when you walk in the fullness of your restoration, you will realize that losing some people was never really a loss. It was part of the plan all along. There are moments in life when you feel like time has slipped through your fingers, like the years you spent waiting, struggling, fighting, believing were wasted. You look back and wonder where all the time went. You ask yourself, what do I have to show for everything I've been through? You see others moving forward, achieving their dreams, walking in their purpose, while you feel like you've been stuck in the same place, like you've been running in circles, like everything you've worked for has led to nothing. But I came to tell you that time has not been wasted. Every moment, every second, every tear, every setback, it is all leading to something greater. You have not lost time. Time is being redeemed. Time is being restored. Time is being renewed. You may have felt like you missed opportunities, like doors closed before you could walk through them, like the years you spent in pain, in waiting, in confusion, in disappointment were for nothing. But what you don't see is that what felt like delay was actually preparation. What felt like wasted time was actually God setting you up for something greater than you ever imagined. Because time is not just being restored, it is being multiplied. You see, when restoration happens, it does not just put you back where you were, it accelerates you. It takes you beyond where you should have been. It lifts you higher than you could have ever climbed on your own. So what if I told you that the years you thought were lost are about to be given back to you? That the opportunities you thought had passed you by are about to come back around, but this time in a way that is better, greater, stronger. What if I told you that what seemed like a delay was actually positioning you for something far beyond what you could have achieved in your own strength? Think about all the times in your life when you felt like you were waiting for nothing, when you prayed and saw no answer, when you worked hard and saw no results, when you kept pushing forward but nothing seemed to change. Those moments felt wasted. They felt empty. But what if I told you that nothing was wasted? What if I told you that while you thought nothing was happening, everything was happening? That every moment of waiting was refining you, shaping you, strengthening you. Because sometimes what feels like stagnation is actually acceleration in disguise. You were not being delayed, you were being developed. You were not being held back, you were being prepared. And now the time that you thought was lost is coming back, but not in the way you expect. It is coming back with increase. It is coming back with abundance. It is coming back with purpose. Because time is not just being restored, it is being redeemed. And when time is redeemed, it doesn't just give you back what you lost. It gives you back what you never even knew you were missing. Think about the people who look at their lives and feel like they are too late, like they missed their moment, like their best years are behind them, like the dreams they once had are too far gone to ever come true. But what they don't realize is that nothing is too late. Nothing is beyond restoration. The years that were lost, the dreams that were buried, the opportunities that seemed to have vanished, none of it is gone forever. It is still waiting, still being prepared, still on its way back. Because when time is restored, it does not just bring back what was lost. It brings back what was meant for you all along. You may have spent years in pain. You may have spent years in struggle. You may have spent years wondering why nothing was happening, why doors were closing, why you were being overlooked. But now you are about to step into a season where all of that changed. You are about to see why the wait was necessary. You are about to see why the delays were part of the plan. You are about to see why time was never really lost. It was being stored up for you, ready to be released in a way that will take you further than you ever thought possible. So don't look at your life and think that time has been wasted. Don't look at your journey and think that you have fallen behind. Don't compare your path to others and think that you have missed your moment. Because your time is not just coming, it is being multiplied. What took others years to build, you will achieve in months. What took others a lifetime to accomplish, you will step into in a season. Because time is not working against you, it is working for you. It is aligning itself with the purpose that was always meant for you. And when you step into that season of restoration, you will look back and realize that nothing was wasted, that the tears, the pain, the waiting, it all had a purpose. That what seemed like a loss was actually a setup for something greater. And you will know without a doubt that time was never lost. It was simply being prepared for the perfect moment. And that moment is now